Hey guys, welcome back to my shop. So today we're going to be building this box of drawers for the shop. So basically when I build stuff in my shop, I like to use like almost like workbench construction where you have legs and rails, kind of like tables. But whenever I want to have drawers in those, basically instead of building it straight into the desk or the table, I like to build boxes with drawers in them, like this one. So the reason being that if, you know, later on I don't want to have drawers stay in that spot, I can always remove the box and it's its own thing, right? I can always just set this up like it is now. I'll show you guys in a second where this is going to go. This is going to go underneath my lathe to hold lathe parts. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this first. Usually when I build these boxes, I try to use whatever I have around the shop. For shop projects, obviously. A lot of times I'll use like plywood sides and plywood drawers, plywood fronts, just whatever I have lying around the shop. For this one, I actually had a leftover 1x12 pine 8-foot board, and it was the perfect size for me to get the sides of this and the drawer fronts. The drawer sides, I'm not sure you can see them from there, but they're made out of 1/2-inch plywood that I had laying around. And I put a cherry front, I had some cherry left, and I put a cherry front to these boards, not just for decoration, although I do like the way it looks. It gives a nice contrast and it'll darken up with time, but also because I wanted the thickness of this to be closer to 12.5 inches. And if you have a 1x12, it's really only 11.25 inches wide. So I wanted to get a little extra width, so that's why I decided to use this. And usually when I'm doing much shop projects, I tend to do simple joinery, like for example, and I'll show you guys the ones that are under my bench. So when I first built my bench, it didn't have any drawers. It was just the legs and the rails and the top. But over the time using it, I needed some storage space down here, so I built these boxes. And I was going to make it one long piece, but it would become more of just specifically for this, where if I built it like this, if for some reason I ever get rid of this bench, I can keep these boxes, stack them on top of each other, put them on casters, and I'd have like a rolling tool cabinet kind of thing. So that's why I love, these are dirty, but that's why I really like this type of construction when I'm dealing with shop furniture. And as you can see, like, I keep my tools pretty organized in there, but you can see this is plywood. Everything here is plywood. I faced it just to make it look good. This one actually has some poplar drawer fronts, but this is basically why I build these this way. And then, so usually when I'm doing these, I'll do like simple joinery, just either butted together or rabbited together, or even just screwed in, because you don't usually see them when they're underneath this. But for the one for the video, I figured what a better time to try or to experiment with certain types of joinery. I love doing dovetails, so I did some dovetails on this one. I'm going to show this to you. I was on feet. So this one has dovetails to the sides, and it was kind of fun cutting those dovetails, but also the reason I wanted to do dovetails in this is because I wanted to try mitered dovetails. So if you look at the front here, it looks like it's just a miter joint, but it's actually dovetails with a miter front, and I'd never done that before. And so that's why I wanted to try it on this one. Other than that, it's basically just a box with drawers. You know, I like these slides on the side. I find them to work really well, and I just finished it with a simple coat of spray lacquer. Doesn't have to be anything special. It's shop furniture. I only finish it just so it's easier to clean. Okay, now that the case is done, it's time to move on to the drawers. So the way I do it is I just, once the case is done, I measure the inside dimension and I divide it by however many drawers you're going to use, and then don't forget to I leave about a 1/16 of an inch spacing between each drawer. And I milled up all the parts. And this is basically how I mill it. And of course I'm using scrap for this case because it's just going to be a shop project. So for the sides and back I'm using 1/2 inch plywood that I had left over. And for the front I had this pretty cool Douglas fir board. And I think it'll make good drawer fronts. So once I cut them to length and width, I put a quarter inch groove at the bottom of them, of the two sides, for the bottom panel. The back is actually cut shorter. It gets cut just so that it basically is above that groove, so that you can slide the panel in. And the front has the same groove at the bottom, and I also have 2 grooves on the sides, which is where these fit into. Now, there's many ways of doing these drawers, and I like these shop boxes to try all my different types. So on some of them I've had, screws in through the front and plugged. I've had just the dado in it. I've had, I did like a dovetailed one, but that was for a different type of drawer because these are going to be on slides, and when you have a drawer on slides you have to leave, here I'll show you, you have to leave a little bit of a gap right here. It's about a 1/2 inch gap so that the slide will fit in there. So you can't just dovetail them into the end. My favorite one, but I actually hardly ever do it for shop furniture, but if I was going to do it for like a solid wood case, and let's say the drawers were all going to be solid wood, then I would create a sliding dovetail in here so that these would lock into it, and you wouldn't have to worry about it pulling off. Which, for these shop drawers I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to glue it in, and that should be enough. Especially with this plywood, it should be enough to hold it. Looks good. So all I have to do is slide it in. Make sure it goes in all the way, and it's basically done. I'll put a screw or 2 in the back just to hold it in place. So this is my lathe stand, and as you can see, I just kind of built it a lot like a workbench where it's got legs and rails and a tabletop because I really wanted it very heavy. But I didn't build any cabinets into it because I was going to build a box that I could put in here, but if I ever wanted to remove it, I can just take the box and use it for something else. So let's go get the box. And there it is. And now I can put my lathe stuff in here and not have it all over the place. Well, that's it. Thank you very much, and please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.